All right. Good Saturday morning, everybody. It's time for another episode of Hobby Hotline. I believe this is number 247. We're getting up into the numbers, guys, where it's hard to remember the episode numbers. I even one time misnumbered one. But it is 247. Hope everyone's doing fine. I'm happy to be joined this morning to my right on the screen, Mr. Victor Roman, who
Good
rookie
morning,
card
John.
specialist. Morning.
Gentlemen.
And below us in age and on the screen is Brody.
Morning, everybody.
All right, so I'm going to take that banner off. Of course, we're not starting there. Let's start with some little lighthearted stuff. And this is full disclosure. This was Victor's good idea because it's big, right? It's the championship of the NBA. We have two teams that probably most guys wouldn't have predicted that. Let's say at the start of the year. With Denver and Miami. I'm kind of glad. It's nice to see maybe some underdog type teams, although they're both good teams. I don't want to make it like they won a lot of games in the regular season. You got Jimmy Butler carrying the Heat, and you got, I think Denver, to me, Denver's more of a complete team where it's kind of like the Jimmy Butler show in Miami, but you got obviously the key guy in Denver's Nikola Jokic, and they're up 1-0. I'm not a huge NBA guys, but I'm kind of rooting for Denver because Jokic's won some MVPs. The only thing he's sort of missing from his resume now is that ring. I don't, I'm not a fan of either team per se, but I'd like to see Denver and Miami's won a title before Denver. Denver hasn't. We'll start with you, Victor. Like, kind of your thoughts on the matchup and who you'd like to see hoist the trophy.
Yeah, man. I love this time of year. NBA finals there's just something about it. I want to say good morning to Rex and the folks out there in New Buffalo, Michigan, and joining us in their shop. Good morning, everybody. First off, I want to start as far as the NBA finals are concerned. I want to send my condolences to the Boston fans, right? You were on the verge of history, man. You were right there and just fell a little short. And wow, what a devastating game. What a fantastic series, though. I mean, they really made it fun for everybody. I really like, it just seems like it's an overmatch, right? Like Miami is just in over their heads, but we'll see. Definitely got to give them a chance because they've made it this far. But Denver, man, I tell you, and I don't know if anybody has noticed it. I'm comparing it, like to the Chicago Bulls of the '90s, right? What I'm noticing is that Denver's the only team that I've seen in the playoffs that actually runs plays. They actually move the ball around and actually come up with plays. If you remember the triangle offense that the Chicago Bulls had for many years, and they actually coming down the floor and they're moving the ball around and they're actually running plays, and everybody, once the ball is shot, everybody is on rebound mode, and that's just the one thing that is really lacking in today's game, with the exception of the Denver Nuggets. Denver, I see them doing similar things, and they're really a powerhouse. I mean, game one wasn't even close, right? So I'm pulling for Denver, but I'm also, Jimmy Butler, a former Chicago Bull, so I have some love for Miami in that aspect, but we'll see what happens.
Brody, what do you think? You're, again, you're in Chicago too.
Yeah.
I'm the oddball out here when it comes to Chicago flavor. Does that affect, like Victor was saying, it's a former Bull. He's got some respect and likes Jimmy Butler. Does that affect like who you root for, or do you want to see Denver win their first title?
Yeah, I'm pulling for Miami. I love Jimmy Butler, and I just want to prove that the Bulls should have never gotten rid of him because ever since they got rid of him, we haven't done anything, barely. We keep getting to the playoffs, so we keep getting close, but we never have gotten that far. So I want to see Butler do it, and I love Bam Adebayo too, one of my favorite players. But I would be fine with Denver winning it too. Great team, got a lot of great players. I'm just excited to see who wins. Should be a great series.
Yeah, comment from John Mangini that those old Spur teams, right?
Those two. Yeah,
They ran some
solid. Yep.
crazy stuff. And when they won championships, I mean, they had your Tim Duncan and but they were like a complete team. And I think a lot of the play call from Popovic was a big factor in that. They just were headaches for people. You know, I apologize to Denver fans. I made it like they're really not supposed to be here. That's not really the case. I mean, they just swept the Lakers 4-0 to get here, so they're not some bad news bears type of story. They're legitimate team. If I'm predicting like who's going to win, I'm you know, if I was a bet man on the finals, I mean that's where I think I would put it. And like Victor said, I think you want to see. I don't really want to see a 4-0 sweep, right? That's not really dramatic or fun to watch. So hopefully we get a 6 or 7 game series here, guys, and some good basketball. And you know, it's nice to see maybe 2 teams, even though they're very good. I don't think a lot of people would have predicted that. It's always nice to see, you know, for those. I'll just kind of close with this and get your guys' thought too. You know, everyone likes to say the NBA's rigged, right? Oh, the NBA's rigged. They rigged the lottery. They rigged games, right? If the NBA was rigged, I don't think we would be seeing a Denver Miami matchup. I think it would have been a Boston Lakers matchup if you believe the conspiracy theories there. So, you know, I think that kind of puts the bet, at least for now. You know, the NBA is rigged. Any before we go to the next topic, any final thoughts here?
No, yeah, I agree. You would at least have one team that's the big market, right? But not 2 small ones. So, yeah, kind of debunks all the myths, right?
I still think the NHL lottery is rigged because I don't know how we got the first pick. There's no way that Chicago should have gotten the first pick.
I'm hearing talk that Bedard doesn't want to go there. I don't know if it's really from him.
I wouldn't blame him.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. The number 1 pick's going to get paid, so I think he'll wind up.
Right.
You'll have him in your backyard if you want to go watch him play. All right, guys. Let's go to the next topic. Made some news earlier this week, and that's collectors. The PSA parent company, basically. Let me add this to the stream here. This is their building here. They laid off, I believe, 11 or 12 people from various departments. And, you know, anytime you hear layoffs, right, everyone kind of has a thought process there. Like they're, you know, listen, PSA is the number 1 grading company, whether you like that or not. So I think, you know, what happens. My answer when I've been asked, like, what is this about? Is I just think a lot of these hobby companies hired during the boom phase, right, when everything was just exploding. They hired to meet the demands of that point in the hobby, and we're not there anymore. And then so now you can unfortunately get overstaffed and have to, you know, let people go. The human element stinks. You hate to hear anyone lose their job, but I don't think there's, you know, big trouble or anything like that. Like I've heard others say. I just think it's an overstaffing, and they've corrected that. Unfortunately, at the expense of 11 or 12.
Well, and here's the thing, John, and I feel your sentiment here, okay? But I read this article.
Yeah.
And here's, you know, the first thing that I asked myself, you know, you consider the source, right? So now it's Rich Mueller over at Sports Collectors Daily, who's been the hobbies journalist for decades now, right? A very reputable man when it comes to articles. And I was, you know, I went beyond the headline and I went beyond the first paragraph or two. But if you go to the last 2 paragraphs of this article, can we go there? We're going to see something pretty interesting here.
I don't have the article, but if you want, I mean, we believe you. If you want to, like, Some can fact check if they don't believe you too. So
You're not going to deem me a liar just yet.
no, I believe you. I can't speak for everybody.
Yeah, let me
And the article's out there. I mean, if they doubt you, they can look at it themselves too.
yeah, let me give me one sec here. I wanted to bring
Yeah.
attention to the last couple of
Well, let me answer this question while you're doing that.
I got it. I got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
One quick thing. Philly Joe says, any idea what positions were let go? There was a couple executive level positions. David Steinberger was one of them, bigger name, and then a few on the lower levels. It was really kind
Marketing.
of a little bit on each level. It wasn't one particular department that really took a major blow.
Mostly marketing in the marketing
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
But here's the last couple of paragraphs to this article. Okay. And now this is not Rich Mueller. Now, remind you who's writing this. So he says, one source close to the situation. Let's stop there for a minute. We got to grasp what's being said there, right? One source close to the situation believes collectors has begun cutting certain expenses in anticipation of a possible future sale, much like what occurred with PWCC. Our source indicated more layoffs were expected. The last paragraph says, Sports Collectors Daily has learned that collectors was among those interested in purchasing PWCC before the sale to Fanatics, which continues to gobble up properties in the sports collectible space. So, according to what is, if you read between the lines here, we have more, according to a legit source, more layoffs are expected, and this could be for a possible future sale. And that's pretty enlightening to me.
I hear you. I guess, when you think about that, I mean, it's whoever, if it is sold, right, that's going to be a big bill, right? It's going to be a bigger bill than some of the bills we've seen for PWCC, even tops. Like, is it Fanat? We can all speculate here, 5 or 6 different ways. Is it Fanatics? I mean, would PSA and / collectors sell themselves to Fanatics and have them get into the grading industry? I think it's a conflict of interest. I would, as someone who does use PSA, that would probably be the end of my usage there if something like that was to occur, just based on a conflict of interest. Is it an investment, just a huge investment group that's just going to put their money together and make a play for it? And I mean, does it surprise you, Victor and Brody, that Nat Turner only bought this a few years ago with his group, that they're already looking to, kind of get out, maybe at a profit, and money talks. I mean, does it surprise you that fast after purchasing that they would potentially be looking to move on?
Yeah, that would surprise me big time. I don't see how or why they would even want to sell. Just the powerhouse that they are in the industry. Why would they even want to sell? I guess money's the bottom line, but I don't see them struggling, at least not on the exterior. Right, we're on the outside looking in. We never know what's actually going on internally, but why they would want to sell is just crazy to me.
I think it just could be Fanatics, and we could just be calling for, it's time to play your favorite game, Monopoly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a good point here by Dufacts of Life, and I knew this too, but for those that don't, it's not just grading. They have coin grading, and they have
Right.
other entities that make up the collectors. Golden, they own Golden now as well. So this is if this is sold, it is going to be a huge price tag, and it's going to be a huge, whether it be an investment group, guys, or Fanatics in their boatload and truckloads of money that pull it off. I know what the article said, and I heard you, Victor, and I mean, what's the odds that maybe that's one of the 12 employees going out the door just wants to like sort of burn the bridge behind them and get that rumor started, right?
That's always a thing too, right? You
Yeah,
never
we
know.
got to keep that in mind, right? If I'm let
Right.
go, I'm not if I'm let go from a company, especially maybe when I don't see it coming necessarily, I'm not going to be looking in the moment thinking fondly of them. And hey, Sports Collectors Daily, check this out. Here's what's going on there. Doesn't mean it's necessarily
Right.
true, and they can report it because it is a source that of someone that was involved in the company, so they can report that as speculation. And so I'll
Let's
put a little bit of my eggs in that basket as well.
well go. Let's go ahead, and I know you got his number. Let's go ahead and let's give Nat Turner a call. Let's get him on. Let's verify.
I do have. I'm not gonna lie. I do have it, but I don't think he's gonna answer that question. He might answer
Okay.
some other. He might answer some other ones, and I'm sure he'd probably say, "Listen, everybody, there's much to do about nothing. The company's not for sale, right? It's like coach speak, right? When the coach says, I'm not entertaining other job offers, I'm not leaving, and then the next week, right? ESPN breaks a story that coach accepted a job here and is
Yeah.
you
But I
know
mean, why is it that we get news like this through Sports Collectors Daily? And I'm not taking nothing away from them. They do a great work. But my thing is, why doesn't PSA have like a PR department? Why isn't this kind of thing coming directly from PSA? And why aren't they doing some kind of a press conference to just, you know, cure everybody's concerns or just, give us a heads up? I don't
I
know.
think they let that guy go.
Well, there you have
I
it.
think they had it all ready for release, and then he was on the
Yeah.
chopping list. But
All right. All right.
yeah, no, it's a great point though, Victor. I'm just making a joke there, but it is a
Yeah.
great point. Like,
Yeah.
better it come from you, right, than
Hmm.
from outside sources, because that's where a lot of the speculation, uh, rumors and stuff come from, is from other people. As a motorcycle, it's summertime here, so.
Nice.
But so it'll be interesting to see, right, what happens here. If I had to predict, I don't think they get sold or bought by anybody. But right,
Yeah.
we've seen some crazy stuff in the hobby. So if it was to happen, just add it to the list. Brody, anything you want to kind of add here?
I'm excited to see what happens and see if we can play our Monopoly game.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I've said this on my own shows, and I don't know how you feel, guys, but if it was Fanatics, let's just go ahead and make that assumption, even though it might not be true. If Fanatics was to buy collectors and then own PSA grading, to me that's just a huge conflict of interest. You have a company kind of grading their own produced cards and also grading their competition's cards, and to me that's a recipe for disaster. And as someone that has PSA cards, that uses them sometimes, that would change how I view them as a choice for having my cards in their slabs. You think that we'll just kind of close it out with this, Victor and Brody? You think that's? I mean, how do you feel about that when it comes to the grading aspect only?
Is it a conflict of interest? I don't know, man. I'm on the fence with that. I just, we when Google took over, there was like this big monopoly, and they're gonna, but you know what? Google actually made a lot of our lives better today, in a lot of ways. And another, when Amazon came on board, they're gonna destroy everything. All the stores are gonna go out of business, and to a certain extent, it affected some of the small businesses, right? But overall, I mean, who does not use Amazon because they became this alleged monopoly? No, because they've really improved our lifestyle. I mean, we can order something online anywhere, anytime, and have it in our doorstep in 24 hours. And is there a chance of it becoming a monopoly? Yeah, I think it can become, definitely, but it can also have a chance at really improving our hobby. So I don't we'll have to just wait and see.
Yeah, I hope, I put a comment up there that, Fanatics, if they were to, maybe not even a buyout, right, guys? Maybe they just kind of merge and like the comment said, become sort of this mega monopoly Fanatics slash collectors and have a big say in what direction the hobby goes. I still, even that, I don't want to see it in that form, right? I think, monopolies, history has told us monopolies usually the consumer takes it on the chin when monopolies occur. That's why we have antitrust laws. That's why companies have had to go to in front of Congress to defend a merger or push for one. And
Right. Yeah.
so I don't think, from my opinion, I don't think it's good. I'd rather see an investment group buy it if they were sold than Fanatics, because I do think it is a conflict of interest. That one I'm not going to get talked out of. And so if we can avoid, a conflict of interest, then I'm all for that. So all right, let's move to our next topic, guys. And this one's probably one of the bigger stories of the week, right? The Panini break-in that happened. There's the home offices right there. Really, reading the report, I read the police report. It was more damage with computers sort of being ripped out of the wall, thrown about, stuff being ripped off the wall. More of almost like a vandalism type thing. Now, I'm not saying I believe any of this stuff, but I will throw out there some of the stuff making the rounds. Right, the break in happened. Right, one of the other Panini stories was the 101 logo man Jason Tatum. That was a redemption for an individual that was waiting years. It wasn't ready, and then he apparently did an eBay search and saw, hey, that redemption card was sold for, I believe high five figures. Said, hey, that was supposed to go to me. So I don't know if this card snuck out the back door. An employee took it. That's we can speculate on how that happened, right? So there's lawsuits being threatened, and no sooner than that story breaks than this break-in happens. And as I heard one individual say that this is potentially an inside job, guys, to sort of take the focus off that 101 Tatum, so it's not being talked about as much. I mean,
Hmm.
to me, that's sort of crazy. That's like Watergate-ish. Some of people our age, Victor, will know what
Yeah.
that's in referral to. I mean, thoughts on that? I mean, how is it far fetched, or would you put a ticket in that hat?
Man, the speculation, you can run with that one, right? You can really, what's that one hat, that aluminum, the hat that we,
Tinfoil,
yeah,
tinfoil hat.
tinfoil hat that everybody's speculating. But yeah, it does make sense, right? That it would be like a distraction from that. But um, again, here's another situation where why isn't Panini doing giving collectors a heads up? And I won't get. I'm just to answer your question, John. Yeah, it does make you wonder all the speculation because they do make sense, but there's no evidence of that. You know what I mean? You can't really prove that.
I want to, I know Ziggy's lighting up the chat room. He's got his own show over there. Everyone, I invite you to check that out. Um, John, antitrust only go to Congress when consumers are negatively impacted.
Right.
Well, I got news for you. The hobby is big business, billion-dollar business, and there's a lot of consumers in the hobby. So I'm not predicting that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going that far. But if there were people getting hurt spending their money, Congress has had crazy people that they've subpoenaed to be in front of them that probably didn't even need to be. So I won't put anything past that. And there's plenty of consumers in a billion-dollar industry, which the hobby is. Brody, I mean, your thoughts. I know you've done a little work with Panini and whatnot. I mean, what do you think about this?
I mean, anything's possible. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they just the speculation of what they could have gotten from any computers and servers that they could have gotten of credit cards or account information or what redemptions Brody the Kid has in his account or anything like that is also like scary to think about.
You're muted, John.
Well, all right. Well, you saw the comment. Logan Warren. This was in the police report that, I mean, the place was ransacked severely. They had to stay closed while they did clean up. Employees were told to stay home as police did their investigation as well. So some employees got an extra day off, not one they necessarily wanted or not the way they wanted. I want to comment on this. I guess chat is not involved in live stream. Let me do this. You will see a link that I'm putting in chat. Anyone is welcome. That's right. Anyone is welcome to join the show and discuss your point of view. So very, very untrue. But that's all right. Where opinions are like what. So comment from the backdoor bankruptcy days of 90s back. And so I don't know. This is crazy. I know other people are worried about if they have information in the computers. They're worried that their credit card data or social security numbers and that sort of thing could potentially be compromised. We hear about that, right, with identity theft and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
So
John, and that was my biggest I got the email from Panini, and it basically just said that their computers are going to be down for a couple of days. And it's like, okay, here's my situation. I want to know is my information safe? How about the people who have orders? Where's that at? Is there going to be a delay? How about the thing is that there's consumer confidence, right? There's a thing called consumer confidence, and I think that's what we're dealing here with. And I don't care that your computers are down for 2 days. I need you to give me an update about my information. I need you to give me some update that's going to help me feel a little bit more confidence with the situation. But instead, we just kind of like glossed over this situation. And really, that's, there's a lot of speculation. But again, with the same point that I made about PSA, there's speculation because they're not speaking, right? They're not giving us assurance. And I understand you can't give me details because it's under investigation, right? But you can still put something out there to the public that's going to perhaps explain some things or kind of give us the steps that you're taking to assure that, number one, our orders are going to be okay and that our information is going to be okay. But we're getting nothing. We're getting crickets.
Yeah, no, I agree. You at least should get a little more from them. We know where Zach Pierce stands. His opinion right here is it really a break-in when it's an inside job. So obviously, there's people who believe that, right? And
Yeah. And you don't know what to believe. Some say that it was just vandalized. Others say that the main servers were taken. So it's like, what the heck? What's true?
Yep. Philly Joe kind of echoes your sentiment here, Victor. I'm surprised Panini didn't make more detailed information out to customers. I will say I had an interview with a Panini employee all scheduled, and that was canceled due to the break-in. So
Really?
whether it was someone inside or outside, thanks for messing my interview up there. But it's just crazy, man. Some of the stories that are coming. And I see another comment from Ruben that there should be cameras, right? There should be, hopefully they caught something on cameras, and it'll be interesting to see where this story goes and what more comes out of it. That they caught somebody. I've heard another, we'll call it is a rumor, right, that Fanatics was involved, that they were trying to get secret data or trade secrets. We know that Panini and Fanatics lawsuit right now is on hold, agreed by by all parties, but it's not dismissed. So there's still litigation here between those two companies. So I'm sure that's where a lot of that rumor comes from as well. And, Panini, they're trying to survive. They were kind of poached, which is where that lawsuit comes from. A lot of their workforce was poached by Fanatics, and they've hired some new folks, and they're trying to survive. And then it's going to get, if they don't sell, they're going to lose their licensing here in a couple years in 2026. And so it'll be interesting to see, even a couple years down the line where this all shakes out. Brody, any kind of, again, you have a relationship with them. How do you think they handled it in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we'll get much until they really have an official answer. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of theories that we could go around, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, this next story, guys. I don't want to spend a ton of time with it, but it is news, right? DraftKings, at least on a smaller scale, is entering a hobby with some breaks. I believe it's 3 days of breaks. Steve Aoki, Chris Costa is involved with these breaks, CC cards, and so the last day they're going to do, Jordan's 86, 87, Fleer, basketball box break. It's their first foray. I don't know if this is, the icebreaker to them getting into it more or not, or if this is just sort of a one-off thing. But, we're seeing people not necessarily affiliated with the hobby trying to get, involved in the hobby. I'll go to you first here, Brody, as someone that knows breaks very well. Now you have a gambling platform, which I use, full disclosure, getting into sort of the hobby with some breaks. What do you think?
I think it's kind of cool. I mean, we've seen how much DraftKings and other gambling sites have grown throughout the past couple of years into sports. And I mean, gambling on like packs of cards, like if you could do it, I don't know, like if they could figure out a way to gamble on, like, I don't know, what's the chance that you pull a Jordan out of that pack and you pay this much, and if there is, you get this much, or if there isn't, you get this much. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's like a lot of ways they could like mix both ways too, or they could just do breaks like this. So I think it's cool. I think it's a cool step that they're doing.
You're on mute again there, John.
John Keating, I put a comment, and I agree with this. He's right. DraftKings is entering the industry, not the hobby. They care much about the hobby. I get it, but it affects the hobby. So when I use the term hobby, it's the hobby that we're in. We may not be in it for industrial purposes per se, but your thoughts, Victor, here with DraftKings throwing their hat in the ring.
And to be honest with you, I did not read any articles on this. I haven't seen any come my way, so I don't know too much on the topic as far as details are concerned. But I do have, when I heard about it, it's one of them things that immediately brought the question of to what capacity. What is this only breaking? Are we going to start, gambling on? What do we mean by gambling? Are we going to, have odds to see if I pull an autograph card or not? I don't know what is this going to look like. But moreover, here's the biggest thing, in my opinion, is legally. How does this work? You have, certain states are not on board with legal gambling, and so you have, I know some guys that have to drive to the state line in order to enter a bet on DraftKings and then come back home. So they got to go on a 20-minute drive to get to state line, because the phone will actually not it'll like read where you're at. And if you try to enter a bet, it won't accept it. You have to go to a state where it's legal. So, I mean, this is such a cobweb. And that's why I say to what capacity. Now, if it's just breaking, okay, I can kind of see where DraftKings would want to get in that, because there is that element of that excitement, right? That dopamine rush that we get with a break. Right. So I can see them being interested in our hobby for that reason. because it kind of correlates. But, are they going to like take over the, hobby as far as breaking and this and that? Is Fanatics going to just monopolize all the breaking? I don't think so. And the reason why I say that is, number one, I think breaking is here to stay. It's such a big part of our hobby. And, paying $600 for a box rather than paying, $100 for a couple of teams on a break, I think that's a lot more conducive for collectors. But in the breaking space, I believe it's here to stay. I believe there's room for everybody, because when I came back to the hobby, I was doing breaks. I did breaks for like the first 18 months back into the hobby. And to be honest with you, for me, it was all about personality, because it just depends. I would go to a break room, didn't really like the vibe or the way things were done. But when I did find a guy that I liked his personality. I liked his vibe. I liked the way he spoke to us. I liked the way he ran the business. That's how come I say there's room for all the breakers, because it's all about personality and how you sell yourself.
And pricing, right? You want to be priced competitively.
Sure.
Logan put isn't breaking itself a gamble.
Sure.
He's right, and I'll go further. I think the hobby, in many respects, is gambling, right? Even taking breaking out, when you buy your own box, right, for a couple $100, you're scratching a lottery ticket, and you're hoping you get more in return. And a lot of times, as we all know, it's one reason I don't open nearly as much wax as I used to, is a lot of times you take that on the chin. So
is this sponsored by Fanatics? DraftKings is coming in to do a break
sponsored
by Fanatics, or how's this working?
No, I think this is their own thing. And when I first heard this, Victor and Brody, my first reaction is like, who at DraftKings is in charge of this, right? We've seen when people from outside the hobby, outside in air quotes, things sometimes can go wrong. But they've got Chris Costa, who, if you know him, very experienced, knows what he's doing, runs a lot of stores and starting to open stores up in arenas and stadiums with Chris Costa's cards, and Steve Aoki, who kind of got his start in Pokemon, but is now getting into the regular establishment of cards, is also involved too. So they have people from the card space that are going to be sort of headlining this and spearheading it, and so that made me feel a little bit better after reading that, because I was just curious to who was going to be at sort of at the center of it. So we'll see. I don't know. Like you said, Victor, it's a good point. I don't know if they're dipping their toe in the water here, guys.
Yeah.
And if this goes well, they're like, hey, let's open up a whole DraftKings breaking division, right? Just like
I can see that.
So this may be, like it or not, this may be something, we see maybe more of down the line.
A little bit of R&D, right? Research and development. See how it goes.
Yeah,
Brody might get a call to come be a sponsor.
Well, with the 86, 87 box, I saw a funny comment. I meant to put it up there. It's, might we see, we've seen what's happened with breaks on 86, 87 Flair basketball before, where the sequencing's off and there's, there's supposed to be 3 or 4 Jordan rookies a box, and we've seen boxes ripped open that either have none or one, and it's obvious that the boxes are coming from not one box but numerous boxes. They make a Frankenstein type box. I hope that won't bode well for them if that happens on a live stream where 1 or 0 Jordan rookies get pulled out of a Flair basketball box. So we'll see how that goes. I might watch just to see if the sort of the required Jordans come out of the box, and that's up and up. They showed a box in their ad, guys, too, that I had on the screen, that they're making it like it's sealed. So we'll see. Obviously, they've got to put their best foot forward, especially being sort of new to that. So let's go to our next story here, guys. And we're seeing a lot of these starting to happen. I like it. I'm a documentary guy. There's going to be a Barry Bonds documentary on HBO coming up. He's definitely a polarizing figure, to say the least. And we've seen what happens a lot of times with these documentaries, guys, is cards will go up accordingly during the airing, like Last Dance and others, right? Barry Bonds and even in my mind, like I know, the cream and the HGH and all that stuff. He was a Hall of Famer before he started using, but obviously that's preventing him from being a Hall of Famer today. Do you think? I mean, is this something? Two-pronged question: is this something you want to see, and do you think this helps his candidacy, and do you think this will spike card values? Brody, I'll let you go first here.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this documentary. I think it will be cool. I mean, I think he should be in the Hall of Fame because I think like you said, before he even started, I mean, his career was amazing. And I think card values would be really interesting just because he's in that junk wax era. So I don't know. That should be an interesting one to see if his cards will go up, if maybe his memorabilia will go up. I don't know. That's an interesting one because it's not like Jordan where his stuff was an 86 Fleer, the first year of Fleer, and his stuff spiked really easily, and there's a million Bonds cards out there. So I don't know.
Victor, this something you want to watch, and what do you think it does hobby wise, if anything?
I think his prices are already up there. I think his prices are already at GOAT status. I am looking forward to seeing the documentary. I love all of these guys from the steroid era. They're the guys I grew up with, and I remember watching them as a young man. And don't tell me that these guys were not Hall of Famers, because I would argue that point to the moon and back. I don't care what they were taking. I usually take when I catch a cold, I take medication and go to work, and I'm able to do my job. But I absolutely love this documentary. I will definitely watch it. I love all of these guys. Do I think it's going to spike their values? No, especially with Barry. I mean, you might see some movement for a few days or a week or so, but they'll come back down. Now, him getting inducted into the Hall of Fame might be the next um, pretty big step for another spike for his cards. You're on mute again.
I'll come right back to you, Victor. I mean, do you think he eventually gets in the Hall of Fame? I mean, there's people believe the Hall of Fame is going to put Pete Rose in when, like, the day after he passes away. That'll be his punishment, and then when he's gone, they'll put him in so he doesn't get to enjoy the honor while he's here. Do you see a day when Barry Bonds is in the Hall of Fame, whether he's with us or no longer with us? I mean, like you said, and I said, most people will tell you he was a Hall of Famer prior to the cream.
You asking me, or you asking?
Well, anybody, but
Oh, okay.
I directed it at you. But
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, because you cut out there in the beginning, so I didn't catch everything that you said. But yeah, your question is on Pete Rose.
No, Barry Bonds.
Oh, Barry Bonds.
Or Pete Rose. I believe they're going to put Pete in when he passes away. Do you think? Do you agree with that? And do you think Barry Bonds gets in eventually?
I do agree with the Pete Rose because it's one of them things where he has so much backing for him, right? But not only that, it's a lifetime span. So I think when he does passes is when he'll get inducted. As far as Barry is concerned, I do see Barry in the Hall of Fame eventually. I think it's not going to be through the Baseball Writers Association, but it will be through the Veterans Committee at some point, sooner rather than later, I hope.
Brody, from what is with kids your age? What do a lot? You feel like a lot of kids your age, even though you weren't alive necessarily when Barry Bonds was playing. Do you feel? Do like people know? Do they know him? and what are their thoughts on him?
Yeah, I think a lot of people think he should be in the Hall of Fame. Because people know that nobody's ever going to do this again. Because the numbers he put up were just insane, and it's the same thing with Pete Rose, over 4,000 hits. It's unreal, and the chances of it happening again never soon is it's going to take a long time. So I think both in the Hall of Fame eventually.
Who would you put in first? Ziggy's got a comment. Who do you think should go in first, or who had a worse impact on, I guess, society or fans?
I would probably say Pete Rose.
Yeah. Why?
I would just say because the steroids thing, I feel like if you put Bonds in, then you have to put Sosa in, you have to put all the guys in. But if you just put Rose in, you just put Rhodes in. I don't know.
I don't mind let's get Sosa in there too. And Steve Garvey for Brother John.
Yeah, well, and that's Jason Schwartz. That's his guy. I just had him on, and we kind of batted that around. And I agree, like 10-time All-Star. I don't want to make this the Steve Garvey debate, but yeah, there's a lot of guys, right? And I saw a comment with Harold Baines. If Harold Baines is in, there should be a lot of others that aren't.
Oh, come on, White Sox legend.
Yeah, but he didn't. He DH'd a majority of his career. There's some people say, is it the Hall of Good or is it the Hall of Fame, right? Or the Hall of Very Good or the Hall of Fame. So
Hall of Fame.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting, and like you said, I think that's why Bonds is not in, right? Because the first one of that era, kind of to get in, will open the door for the rest. And Clemens is right there up there with Bonds as a guy who had the statistics to get in the Hall before performing enhancers really became a major problem. So we'll see, right? Richie Allen, we could make this. We could do a whole show on like Hall of Fame, who should be in, maybe who should get kicked out, and that sort of thing. But it's we could debate that to the end of time. It'll be interesting. And the first, if there becomes an alleged steroid user that does break that ceiling and get in, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah.
What happens after that.
Even with all the regulation and everything, they're still using. It's like, man,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're keeping up with the Joneses. So, what are you going to do? All right, guys. I wanted to, close on we're 53 days away from the National in both of your guys' backyard. Lucky you guys. But no matter where it is, I do try to go. It's back in Chicago. Last year, I believe, under the current management team, and then it will change next year in Cleveland to a new management team. I know the answer to this question, right? Being in your backyard, it's awesome for you guys. Do you think there's going to be, with all the kind of news, some of what we just talked about today, guys? What do you think? There'll be a different vibe there now? You got really fanatics with more of a hold on the industry, and that sort of thing. You think the vibe in the room will be different this year than in past years, or not really?
Whoever. I think the vibe is going to be even more so, in my opinion. I don't know why. Just myself personally, I am just super excited about this year's National. I'm typically excited about it, but there's just something about this year where I am like ultra excited about going to the National. Also, the expansion to me is huge, because a couple of years ago we were all walking around like penguins, and so it was definitely more space was needed, and they gave us that this year. So that's going to be interesting. A little bit more room, a little bit more spread out, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, and yeah, I mean the corporate area should be interesting. I mean, there'll be a lot of people at Fanatics' booth. I would like to see if they do a Q&A or something like that. That would be entertaining.
Well, there's the Tops Q&A, Brody. Like you got your start there. Shameless plug. Brody is the feature this month on Sports Collectors Digest article that I wrote, and like I said in it, for 15, he's got a resume that looks like he's 35. But speaking of that, do you have an itinerary yet, Brody? Like, do you know what you might or may not be doing there?
I don't know my officially title. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but I will be working as I have for the past couple of years. I will be doing stuff for the National, doing stuff for Signatures for Soldiers. I know I have a title. It's different this year. I just can't think of it off the top of my head. I'll let you know, John. I can't think of it off the top of my head.
Victor, what days are you going? Are you going the whole week?
Oh yeah, I'll be there every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you're still working on your Clement? I don't want to give it away or make more competition for you. One of your things, I'm assuming you're working on your Clemente run still.
Oh yeah. I usually pick up at least one for the Clemente PC. Now, as far as all week, Sunday is going to be hashtag debatable, right? Depending on how the old feet are doing. But yeah, I haven't really developed my spending strategy yet because I'm still establishing the budget, right? So as I get closer and I finally see what's inside the pot, then I'll sit down and make a purchasing strategy. But yeah, Clemente is definitely always on the radar when I go to the National.
Brody, I know your work. It seems like you're working a lot, but when you get to kind of walk around and take that hat off, what's your approach? What do you look for, uh, and that sort of thing?
I love buying wax, but this year I might kind of split it a little bit more. No hotel this year since it's in Chicago, so be interesting. I don't know what I'm exactly gonna do, but I love getting some cheaper wax. And NASCAR is fun to open, baseball, wrestling. So I don't know, but I'm looking for some singles this year too to add to the collection.
Yeah, comment here from Vintage Card Collector. National will be hopping. A lot of people skipped AC last year. Less people looking to buy and flip. More people buying for the PC. You guys were both in Atlantic City like me last year. Are you anticipating like Vintage Card Collector? Are you anticipating a bigger crowd?
I am. Yeah, I think so.
I would think so. It's the Midwest. It's a more regional, you know, showcase.
Yeah, I think. Listen, there's never these nationals. Everyone circles the week on their calendar. Anyone that can get there usually tries to get there. I don't think there's going to be any slow nationals for the unforeseen future. I always tell people try to get there for as many days. I'm not. I'm going to be there Wednesday, and then early Sunday, and then head back here to New York. You made a great point, Victor. People don't know they expanded the floor plan, so that I know the corporate space is bigger as well. I think they had to make room for Fanatics acquisitions and more booths. But it's the one thing I will say. The one thing I liked last year, and I'll get your guys' take about Atlantic City. It was a little more. I know the city was not a popular city or people's first choice. I liked it because I was able to drive from New York. So in that aspect, I liked it. It seemed more open than Chicago was, as far as like you had more room, more elbow room. Maybe that's because there was potentially less people. Maybe that's a factor. Why? What was your thoughts, kind of looking back at last year's Atlantic City National?
Go ahead, Brody.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It did seem more open. Um, yeah, I think the aisles weren't as long either. I think it was like opposite too, with that aspect. So I mean, yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, hopefully it's crowded. I mean, I don't want elbow room, so that's a good thing if there's not elbow room. Also, too, I'm excited because Guardians are in town, so Shane Bieber is doing a signing, which I think is awesome because there are never in-season baseball players there. but we've got Shane Bieber, which is awesome.
I basically I enjoyed the, I didn't enjoy the drive back and forth to the airport. That was ridiculous. But as far as the building in and of itself, the venue, I thought it was great. I zero complaints. But it was just, the drive. I kind of had to stay kind of far away from the convention center. That wasn't, ideal, but it worked out.
Yeah, again, I was spoiled being I was able to drive, bring more stuff. My wife actually made the trip and just was on the beach with a beverage and a book and an umbrella while I enjoyed the show festivities. But I'm being told, I'm sure you guys have heard too, that that will be the last time, supposedly, that it will be in Atlantic City.
Really?
Yeah, so
Oh, wow.
probably, unless there's another East Coast one, I'll be flying to, any and all future ones. So I'd love to see one in New York City. I think parking and logistics is preventing that. I think they did the Atlantic City one as sort of, that tri-state area, right? Philly, New York, and that sort of thing. So, so I guess if they never do it in Atlantic City again and they don't come back to another East Coast city, I'll have to fly each and every time. So, but I know Danny's driving from Baltimore to Chicago as he right there. So I'll be meeting him when he gets there. That's quite a haul. God bless him. He's younger than me. The older I get, the less driving I seem to like to do or have the stamina for. But
according to the chat, I'm hosting a party with Kumbaya, keggers, and s'mores.
I think I saw it's in your backyard. I don't know how big. I don't know. I've never seen your house or your backyard. I hope you have a large backyard because I see there's tents involved. There's fire. It sounds like Lala. It sounds like Lollapalooza at Victor's house.
Yeah, I better get my city permit.
Yeah, well, let's even coin it right here. It's going to be Roman Palooza or Victor Palooza, right?
Oh boy,
cardstock at Victor's. So you might want to warn your wife.
Yeah.
Advance notice. Or otherwise you won't be in the backyard. You'll be in the doghouse.
Right. Exactly.
Brody, you have no idea what we're talking about, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So, but I'm married 24 years. But yeah, and no wife this year. And the bad part for me, guys, is if my wife makes the trip, all the funds come out of our joint account. If my wife doesn't make the trip, they come solely out of the business account. So this year, it's going to be business account expenses rather than joint account with my wife not going. She has no interest in going to Chicago. Like she says, there's no beach there. So, all right, guys, we're up around the hour. Covered a lot of ground in a fast paced setting here. Again, 53 days from the National. Thanks everyone for joining us today. The chat room, as usual, takes a life of its own sometimes. So even if you don't like what's on the screen, check out the chat room. It's either a win-win or a win-loss. Either way you choose it. And all joking aside, we appreciate everyone, whether you listen to us on live or download the podcast. We appreciate it. We'll see you here. We have a Tuesday show upcoming as we do the first of the month. So it'll be the Cousins and Mike Moynihan on I believe it's the 6th. And then we'll be back here again next Saturday. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Peace out.